This week's packet is focusing on area and perimeter. Area is where you take the length and you multiply it by the width. Perimeter is where you take your length and width and add them together, all of the sides in the shape. So in this first example here, they've drawn out those squares within the shape for us. So you would first count the number of squares across the top, which is 9, and then the squares along the side, which is 6. To find the area, you would multiply 9 times 6, which is 54. And our label would be square units because area uses squares to cover the inside of the shape. It's units because we don't know how big these squares are. We can't say that they are measured in inches or centimeters because they're not labeled that way. For perimeter, I would use the 9 and the 6, and I would add them together twice because in the rectangle there are 2 sides that are 9 and 2 sides that are 6. Altogether, the perimeter would be 30 units. They're not square units because I'm not covering the inside of the space. I'm just going around the edge and counting all of the lines there rather than squares. In the first example problem, they give you the area, which is 48 square units. And it's up to you to determine the length and the width of the rectangle that could have an area of 48 square units. So you want to ask yourself, what numbers could multiply together and equal 48? 2 that they should know using their multiplication fact knowledge is 6 times 8 or 4 times 12. Now here on our grid paper, the 4 times 12 rectangle wouldn't fit, but I would still accept that as an answer because those are potential dimensions for an area of 48 square units. And when you're drawing the shape 8 by 6, make sure that you draw 8 lines between the dots. Don't count 8 dots. The bottom one is different and a little bit trickier. Here, it's talking about perimeter, not area. So I need to think of 4 numbers that add to 38, and then they must be the same number twice because in perimeter, I add the same side length twice. So, for example, to just start, 10 is an easy, friendly number. So if 2 of my side lengths were 10, I would be up to 20. Now, I would take 20 away from the total perimeter to find that I have 18 left to split between the 2 sides of the rectangle remaining. So I could divide 18 by 2, which equals 9. To go back to the original equation, 10 plus 10 plus 9 plus 9 equals 38. I've also included some other answer choices at the bottom here. These are certainly not the only answer choices, but there are some other ones that your child may come up with. Now, when it comes to finding the missing side length here, given the area and one side length, I like to start back by filling in the numbers into the equation that I normally know, that area is length times width. So I replace the A with 12 because it tells me that the area is 12. And I replace the W with 2 because that's my width, and the length is what I don't know. Now I can simply rewrite this with division to find that my length is 6 units. Again, perimeter is a little bit trickier here, so let's take a look. So I know my perimeter is 26, and I know 2 of my sides are 9, and I know the other 2 I have to figure out. So plugging my numbers back into the equation I know, 26 equals 9 plus 9 plus L plus L. I could add the 9's together to get 18. I would then subtract 18 from my total to find I have 8 left to have 2 numbers add together to equal 8. Now they have to be the same number because they're the same variable and they're the same length. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So the length would be 4 units. Now, you may see these tallies here on the rectangle and wonder, what are those for? We talked with our kids in class about a strategy they could do, and that is to draw tallies. We know we have 26 as our perimeter, so we would have a total of 26 tallies to use when it came to figuring out the missing side lengths. So I would draw 9 tallies on the top side and the bottom side because I know that they are both 9. 9 plus 9 is 18. I need to get up to 26 from 18. So I could subtract 26 minus 18 and find that I have 8 tallies left to share with both sides. So I would share the tallies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, hence 8 divided by 2, and find that each side had 4 tallies on it. So the length is 4. Then to the word problems, same type of activities, just in a word problem format. So here it says a book has a length of 5 inches and a width of 8 inches. What is the perimeter of the book? The gray rectangle underneath each problem is to help the students visualize what's going on and what's missing. So knowing that the length is 5 and that the width is 8, I labeled it. And I marked the keyword in my question of perimeter, knowing that I need to add all 4 sides together to find that my perimeter is 26. Lastly, here I can see another word problem. Rachel was cutting out some fabric for a friend. She cut a piece that was 5 centimeters wide and had an area of 20 square centimeters. How long was the piece? Well, filling in the information I know, I'm missing one side length, the other's 5. And I put the 20 inside of the rectangle because that's what area talks about, the space inside of a shape. So I go back to my equation, area is length times width. I fill in the 2 numbers that I know. I rewrite it with division. 20 divided by 5 equals L, and I know that the length is 4 centimeters.